Quiet, please.
Call the meeting to order. Do you have the pastor here? Up there he is. Would you like to lead us in prayer?
Good, thank you. This Friday we recognize as the night Jesus was betrayed. And before he was betrayed, he was in the garden. And he took 3 of his disciples with him and said, "Here, pray with me." But 3 times he came back and found them sleeping. And so he said to them, "Watch and pray so that you'll not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." So let's ask the Lord to strengthen our flesh, to do what's right, just, and fair. Amen. Father, thank you for this time together. Thank you for this body of men and women that serve the community. Lord, I ask a special anointing upon them, that they would be full of wisdom and understanding, that the work that is going to be done here tonight would be done in justice, righteousness, and fairness. And Father, I pray for a spirit of unity upon this place. Though there may be some things that are contentious, that each of us deal with them with love and peace. Lord, we ask these things in the name of Jesus. And God's people said, Amen.
Okay, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A roll call, please.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Here.
Commissioner Lalone. Here. Commissioner Peterson.
Here.
Commissioner Francisco.
Here.
Commissioner Konashevsky.
Here.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Here. Okay, so we have the agenda and I would look for a motion to approve the agenda. I know we have. Wanted to.
Yeah, I wanted to pull one thing on it's not really a pull, it's just an informational on action item number 8. The committee recommends approval to put a press for bids to have the airport lots 1 through 6 owned by the county to be surveyed. Line item 101-200-801-00. That does not have to be done. We already had it surveyed, so I'm going to pull it off there.
So we'll get that pulled off and then the one that you added the.
Yep, and adding on after my airport property, rezoning of airport property, I want to put from the budget committee meeting this afternoon, talk about the Headley Amendment.
So we'll add that to your place in the agenda. Does anybody else have anything that they wanted to add or pull from the agenda? No? So I just need a motion. Those items.
I'll support.
Motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, agenda is adopted. We have a public comment at this point, and I'd like to ask, and we're gonna do, moving forward, we'll probably do a little bit different, but we're gonna save the public comment to the end, unless you have something to talk about for the agenda. If you have something to talk about that's on the agenda, go ahead and step up to the podium. We'll have, at the end, we'll have enough time for public comment. Okay. Moving forward. Consent calendar. Everyone had a chance to look at the consent calendar. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent calendar. Go ahead.
I'll make that motion to approve the consent calendar.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Support. To approve the consent calendar. Is there any discussion? If not, roll call.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone.
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky.
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Okay, next item is bills to pay by the clerk. Everyone had a chance to review. If you have any questions on any of the items. If not, I would look for a motion to recommend paying the bills.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Peterson,
I'll also provide support.
support by Commissioner Francisco. Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Commissioner LaLonde,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Is Amber going to be doing this through Zoom? Oh, there you are. Okay. Go ahead and step up to the,
Okay, I was not expecting such a large crowd.
they all heard you were coming here today. and-
They're all here for you.
Yep.
So thanks for having me. My name is Amber Hubbard. I'm the Coastal Stewardship Coordinator at Huron Pines. I have some slides that will accompany my presentation, and I will try to speed it up a smidge just so everyone has plenty of time to provide comment at the end, and there'll be a little time for questions if there's any that arise at the end as well. So I guess I'll start off with, today I'm going to be talking about a project that we undertook this year. We call it the Alpena County Assessment. I'll also talk about our Lake Huron Forever Pledge and how we're working with the county, the city, and the township of Alpena to move that along. So a brief overview of my presentation. You can go to the next slide, please. I'll talk about a little bit about the background of Huron Pines and what the Huron Coastal Invasive Species Network is, the county assessment project background, what the invasive species trends we're seeing in Alpena County are, goals for what we hope these county assessments will accomplish, and then we'll dive into some Lake Huron Forever Pledge topics, a little highlight reel of that, and then talk about our Lake Huron Forever kickoff event that is slated for June 13th. So if you're not familiar, Huron Pines is a nonprofit organization. We operate all throughout northeastern lower Michigan and a little bit in the eastern UP. We do a variety of activities: invasive species management, habitat restoration, small dam removal, green stormwater infrastructure. I could talk your ear off about all the things that we do, but I'll keep it short. Our mission is to conserve and enhance northern Michigan's natural resources so that we can ensure healthy water, protected places, and vibrant communities. And we see that taking place through our vision of conservation driven by empowered, engaged communities. So we love interacting with communities to get them really on board with natural resource conservation. Huron Pines, you can think of it sort of as an umbrella organization. Every county in the state of Michigan is covered by an invasive species network, or what's commonly called a SISMA, which does invasive species management and outreach and education for their specific counties. I am the coordinator for the Huron Coastal Invasive Species Network, and so I cover Sheboygan, Presqu'île, Alpena, Alcona, and Iosco counties. And I have a counterpart in the Huron Pines office who covers the 6 interior counties of Northeast Michigan. And our goal is basically, we do collaborations with Forest Service, DNR, other nonprofits and watershed groups, interest groups, friends groups, all sorts of people to create a strategic and coordinated approach to invasive species management. Most of that takes place through grant funding as well. So the reason we wanted to create these county assessments is there was initially a lack of invasive species data for all of our counties. We were often one of the few entities, going out and looking for those sorts of things, whether it's on public or private land. So my colleague created this project to not only conduct the research for these county reports, but also to restore some ecologically valuable habitats along Lake Huron. If any of you have ever been to the Alpena Township Preserve, that was one of the sites we conducted on the ground fieldwork in, a variety of other locations throughout our service area as well. But one of the byproducts of this grant project was the creation of 5 countywide assessments. All the 5 counties I listed earlier will have unique and individualized reports that go through some of the invasive species trends we're seeing in that area, maps of the priority invasive species, potential impacts they may cause to the economy and also the environment, and some species-specific information that may be useful for municipalities or utility professionals or other interest groups who may be interested. So for Alpena County this summer, we surveyed 783 miles of right-of-ways in our work vehicle. We also, throughout the last few years, have surveyed a variety of state parks, forest land, nature preserves, rivers, and this summer we went and surveyed some islands off of Alpena. And we do a variety of other surveys, but this was the highlights for Alpena. So if the map is kind of small, but the blue dots are what we recorded this past summer in 2023. And the orange dots are from historic projects we've done or information that is publicly available in the Midwest Invasive Species Information Network, which I call MISIN for short. And that is a public database and it covers several states other than Michigan. But if you're ever interested in finding out more about the specifics of the invasive species in your area, I recommend doing that. So some specific trends we were seeing in Alpena along highways and right-of-ways, there's some populations of Phragmites increasing. Phragmites is a tall invasive wetland grass. There's also new occurrences of wild parsnip popping up, especially along the
It looks beautiful seeing the cherry blossoms in DC. I went to the
We're also seeing some new occurrences of wild parsnip, especially on the US 23 corridor at the Presqu'île Alpena County line. Wild parsnip, if you're not familiar, is a plant that gets 4 to 5 feet tall, and the sap is hazardous to humans. If you get it on your skin and are exposed to sunlight, it causes pretty severe burns and rashes. So that's one that we try to manage when we can for the human health hazard. In the cities and residential areas, we're seeing a lot of Japanese knotweed and tree of heaven, especially within the city of Alpena itself. Those are very troublesome plants, and I won't bore you with the details, but they're pretty destructive to infrastructure and they're hard to get rid of. Additionally, Japanese barberry is often used in landscaping, and that's one that we often find invading forests and state parks and other undeveloped areas of land, probably because birds are carrying it, but that one is pretty thorny. It grows very aggressively and it's not fun to walk through. And then the last trend I'll talk about is some of the natural features in our area. We have the beautiful Thunder Bay River, and European frogbit is pretty prevalent within the Thunder Bay River and the watershed as a whole, spreading quickly. And it's been here for a while, but we're exploring some new management strategies with that. Now that water levels on the Great Lakes are receding, we're seeing an influx of Phragmites on the coast of Lake Huron. And we're also seeing an influx of baby's breath on dunes and shorelines. That is the same one that you would find in a bouquet, but is incredibly destructive to dunes and sandy habitats. Doesn't allow the sand to shift properly and outcompetes a lot of the beneficial native shoreline plants that we have. So those are the highlights. There's this document is about 30 pages long, so it has tons more details in it. We don't have the final draft right now, but I did bring one draft version. If anyone is interested in that, I can leave it up with one of you all. But hopefully with these county assessments, we hope to educate the public about local invasive species concerns. We hope to share that Huron Pines and our ISN can be an informational and technical resource. We do on the ground management, but we also offer a lot of just advice and things like that if needed. And we also hope that people will use this as a decision support tool and get people more interested and engaged in invasive species management in our communities. So I'm going to transition a little bit into the Lake Huron Forever Pledge. So if you're not familiar, the city, the township, and the county all collaboratively took the Lake Huron Forever Pledge, which essentially is just a way for coastal communities to come together and show their support for sustaining the health of Lake Huron. There's also cities in Ontario on the other side of Lake Huron who adopt the Lake Huron Forever Pledge. So it's an international sort of initiative, and it's really awesome to see the Alpena municipalities take that pledge. So thank you for adopting the Lake Huron Forever Pledge. The pledge is something that the municipalities created the goals collaboratively, and they decided what sort of issues they wanted to work on to sustain the health of Lake Huron. So that kind of is acting as a guide for how they can reach those goals. Overall, a healthy Lake Huron means a healthy, strong, and vibrant future. It's great ecologically, it's great economically, recreationally. We have so many benefits from having Lake Huron in our backyard, and we love to protect it. So I won't read through this, but these are the Alpena County specific action steps that were decided upon. I'll apologize in advance. I am not part of the planning for Lake Huron Forever. I'm speaking on behalf of a colleague, but if you have any questions related to any of the Lake Huron Forever slides, I'd be happy to direct you to her.
Who is that?
Abby Ertel. So in celebration of Alpena taking the Lake Huron Forever pledge, we're having a pledge kickoff event where local partners, project partners and decision makers and the community members as well are invited to participate in a day-long interactive opportunity where we'll talk about taking action to move the Alpena area Lake Huron Forever pledge forward. It will be Thursday, June 13th, 2024 in the Alpena area. The exact location will be determined, but essentially this event will have two parts. So we want to collaboratively share great projects that we're already doing and that the entities are already working on. We want to identify new projects to help move the pledge forward, and we want to have fun and do some hands-on projects. Some of the hands-on projects we have tentatively slated are tree plantings, beach cleanups, invasive species removals, and things like that. And the official draft agenda was shared within your packets, I believe. So part one will be more geared towards specific stakeholders and municipal leaders to share updates on current projects they're working on and help identify some potential opportunities. And we'll also include some case studies from each Alpena government partner and site visits where you'll get to see current and potential project sites. And then the afternoon will be more open to the public. We'll have fun and active celebration with hands-on learning opportunities for all ages and abilities to learn about what the Lake Huron Forever Pledge and to help move it forward. So you're officially invited. We hope you consider joining the city and the township and Huron Pines and other project partners on June 13th for our kickoff event. And then with that, are there any questions?
Questions? I know I've been getting the emails from
Abby. Yep.
Abby. So the plan is after the June 13th kickoff, are they going to have other sponsored events where they try to eliminate some of these invasive species or?
Yeah, I coordinate with our more one-off invasive species events. So I do have a few planned in the Alpena area in general. These aren't public or the ones that I have planned are public events. We also do a lot of other events or treatments and management in the county in general throughout the growing season. But yeah, for example, I'm planning to host a garlic mustard bowl along the Heritage River Walk in mid-May. I also work with a lot of other city groups we're hosting a lot of May events this year. So you'll probably see advertisement for those on our website or through other community channels.
You mostly focus on the vegetation, that type of invasive species, nothing along with the insects that are impacting the different, like spruce trees and things in the area now?
We do monitor for invasive pests that are not prevalent in the area yet, such as the hemlock and balsam woolly delgids. Those are not known to be in our area as of this moment. Emerald ash borer, we like to say, is kind of a genie out of the bottle situation. There's not much that we can do about it. It's been here for decades. There's other invasive pests and pathogens, but those are more handled by the DNR or other large scale organizations, just because we don't have the equipment or capacity really needed to manage a lot of those things.
Thank you. No other questions. I want to thank you for coming and presenting, and I'll definitely be seeing you guys on the 13th of June.
Great, thank you.
Very nice presentation.
Thank you.
The next item was rescheduled, so we'll move on to now.
I feel like I'm making an entrance.
Yeah.
It's not near as entertaining as your last presenter, my apologies. Sorry. I'm here requesting approval for an amendment to our child care fund. I did tell Courts and Public Safety when I was there earlier in the year that I would be back based on the changes the state's making for upcoming fiscal year. I do not need an increase in allocation. The current allocation should be plenty sufficient, given that we're getting the 75% back. Requesting you to approve it as submitted.
Any questions for Janelle? So I would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 Child Care Fund budget amendment.
You have a motion to approve. Support. Support by Commissioner Konashevsky. Any discussion? Discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner LaLonde,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes.
Chairman, if I can bring this up for signature, I'll provide a copy. For the secretary.
And put me under pressure here, right?
Well, you approved it pretty quick. I had a whole speech here prepared.
Oh, if we had known that.
No, that's okay. I'm good.
Feeling better.
Yeah, I mean, not 100%. I don't know what this is, but it's been hanging on for a week and a half.
There you go.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Good. Okay. Next up, is Steve on Zoom?
He is on Zoom.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
Tonight, I have the pleasure to bring before you the two bids that were received by the Department of Transportation for our essential air service contract. After a brief overview of the two bids, I would ask for your vote on which one you would like to select for our next, it'll actually be for a 3-year contract instead of a 2-year contract. The first bid that was received was from Boutique Air. Now, Boutique Air, they were offering to do many more flights than what SkyWest is currently providing. The problem is they're going to places like Chicago and Milwaukee, with certain flights would be allocated to go to Detroit during what they would deem to be the peak season. They're also offering to contribute $30,000 per year for advertising for the airport. They have code shares established with only United and American Airlines, which means if anybody was to connect with like Delta or any other Southwest, they would have to get off the aircraft, exit the secure area, and go back through TSA security again. So that would be an inconvenience. And lastly, the biggest thing that stands out about Boutique Air is they are going to provide the air service with 8 to 9 seat aircraft, which are totally unsuitable for the airlift demands that Alpena has. These smaller aircraft, if you were to put a family of 5 aboard with their luggage, that's probably going to max out the capability of the aircraft. So on those days when we are putting 50 people on board the aircraft, they would essentially be shuttling people back and forth between Chicago or Milwaukee. Now, the next bid was received by SkyWest. SkyWest is offering to keep the same 12 round trip flights. They're also bidding on a 3-year term. They're going to be using a mix of CRJ 550s, 700s, and 900s. They have code share across the entire industry, so anybody departing from Alpena, they don't have to go back through security again. SkyWest also contributes to our advertising budget. They give us $20,000 per year. So those are the highlights between the two bidders. If there are any questions you have, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from anybody?
Steve, is it required an exclusive use agreement? In other words, we have to pick one or the other. They can't both provide services here?
That's true, sir. We can only have one essential air service provider.
Okay.
I did have a meeting with Boutique Air where I asked them pretty pointedly, could you please provide supplemental airlift? But they weren't interested in the idea of supplemental airlift. They were only interested in the EAS contract.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, Chairman. Thanks.
So the annual subsidy is pretty significant too. I went through the documents. Although we don't have to worry about that, but I just think that was pretty significant too with smaller aircraft, not really ideal flights to Detroit. And granted, you know, people that go west might like to go to Chicago. But I think that out of the two, I think that, you know, probably the best option, at least in my mind, would be the SkyWest.
Make a motion that we accept SkyWest's proposal. Go with that. Support.
Okay, we have support by Commissioner LaHaye and, oh, did I say that right?
Motion by.
Motion by Commissioner LaHaye, support by Commissioner Peterson. Any further discussion?
Steve, was there any discussion about Minneapolis? With
There was
SkyWest?
no, yeah, we, and again, voiced our desire to have a Minneapolis connection, but on this bid, they did not entertain the idea of a Minneapolis link at all.
Do we know time frame for flights? Like, is there going to be an early flight, afternoon flight? Was any of that included?
No, ma'am. They never include gate times. They just simply provide what their completions are going to be. So like with the SkyWest, it's going to be 12 round trips per week. They never include gate times with these bids, simply because if they did, they would be contractually obligated to them. And then if you had like a mechanical issue or weather issue or crew issues, whatever, then they'd be found to be breaching their contract. So they simply go for completions.
Okay, thank you.
So I know we had a number of issues over the winter. And I recall a couple flights where the flight left Detroit went back. So if they complete flights in one day and 0 in the other, as long as they're getting their 12, they're still good?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they are entirely based on completion rates. There's been weeks in the past where weather has played a significant issue, and I've seen them bring in 3 aircraft in one day just to complete their transactions.
Yes, hey, Steve, you presented both proposals. You're the manager out there. What's your recommendation?
I hands down recommend SkyWest.
Okay, thanks.
If we move to the smaller aircraft with multiple shuttles, I think that the torches and pitchforks would probably come out pretty rapidly. So I recommend staying with SkyWest.
Okay, thanks for that, Steve.
The ride on a 9-person airplane is much different than a 50 to 75. I rode on both and I would prefer to never ride on a 9-person airplane ever again. All the way to Detroit. I mean, you will vomit. We're be close.
Well, we
Well,
have a
that and this-
motion.
We have a motion and support,
We have a
yes.
motion and support. So if there are no other comments or discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Francisco,
SkyWest.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
SkyWest as well.
Commissioner LaHaye,
SkyWest.
Commissioner Lalone,
SkyWest.
Commissioner Peterson,
SkyWest.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Okay, gotta go with SkyWest.
Steve, will you give me a call after the board meeting? Got some questions, on property.
Absolutely, sir.
Thanks.
Okay,
There, Kim here? Oh, yeah.
next item.
Kim.
Yeah.
Evening. It is my privilege to be here for the 3rd year in a row, asking you for your support for a resolution I prepared for the upcoming Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in April. I'd like to just share a very brief illustration with you of extraordinary work that our staff at Central Dispatch carries out on a daily basis. My husband and I were at a community event out by our home the other night over the weekend, and one of my dearest friends was there, and one of her teenagers had a medical emergency at their home last year. So of course, my first question to her was, how is your child? So she provided me the update, and then she said to me, she wished she knew who answered her 911 call. And she wished she could thank that person for being so wonderful and staying on the line with her until help arrived. Mind you, they live in an outlying township where it takes quite a while for help to arrive. Her teenager's having a medical emergency. She was home with them alone, and to say that she was terrified out of her mind is an understatement. Your mom, you get it, right? So I immediately went, she gave me the date. I immediately went home and looked up to see who the dispatcher was that took that call. And I sent an email with the language as I remembered it from my friend's conversation. And it makes me very proud. They do those things on a daily basis. That it is often said that 911 is the calm voice in the dark, and they truly are on a daily basis. So it is indeed an honor to be here today and ask for your support in this resolution. I believe resolutions have to be read into the record. I am glad to do that, but I'll await your instruction.
If you want to read it.
I'll be glad to do that. This is a resolution proclaiming April 14th through 20th, 2024 as Public Safety Telecommunicator Week in Alpena County. Whereas on October 9th, 1991, the United States Congress took official legislative action designating the second week in April of each year as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. And whereas on March 26, 1992, with 227 co-sponsors, House Joint Resolution 284 was adopted by the 102nd Congress to become Public Law 102-264, authorizing and requesting the President to issue a proclamation calling on the people of the United States to observe the week with appropriate ceremonies and activities. And whereas many unfortunate events, including September 11th, 2001, have demonstrated the critical role of public safety telecommunicators in the emergency services arena. And whereas a public safety telecommunicators' responsibilities extend far beyond simply relaying information between public and first responders. Furthermore, for situational awareness, the police officers, firefighters, and emergency medical service personnel rely on the skillful collection of information from those who use the 911 system. And whereas public safety telecommunicators coach callers in life-sustaining techniques, including CPR and the Heimlich maneuver, while first responders are en route to the scene. And whereas Alpena County Central Dispatch telecommunicators monitor radio activity and contribute to the safety of police officers, firefighters, and emergency medical service personnel. Now therefore be it resolved that the Alpena County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaim the week of April 14th through 20th, 2024 as Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Alpena County, honoring the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our county, its businesses, citizens, and visitors safe. Be it therefore resolved that the County Board of Commissioners urges county residents to join with them in honoring and commending the public safety telecommunicators of Alpena County who answer and dispatch our 911 calls for police, fire, and emergency medical services. And I believe we might even have some of them on Zoom, by the way.
So based upon that, I'd make the motion to adopt Resolution 2407, recognizing National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week of April 14 through 20, 2024 in Alpena County as presented by the Director, Ms. Kim Elke.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to you and your staff, Kim.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Listening and I'll make sure and communicate it back.
I love that you read it.
Yeah, our appreciation for
I'll
sure.
be reaching out, inviting y'all to stop in and visit them during that week. You're all welcome to stop in anytime, but you'll be hearing from me with things we have going on that week. So we'd love for you to come and join us.
Remind me, I'll make cupcakes.
That would be lovely. Thank you.
When you do that, I'm stopping in.
I bet you all will.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Sheriff.
I'm here asking for a budget adjustment into our vehicle maintenance line. Late December 23, we had two of our patrol vehicles hit deer. So our work on both those cars just finished. And you probably just approved the repair invoices. Our insurance is set up a little bit different. We have the work done and then the insurance writes the county the check. The check then gets deposited into insurance recoveries. And we did not budget any money into recoveries this year. So with the new enterprise cars, with the lower budget for vehicle maintenance, we're gonna need that money to be budgeted or line budget adjustment back into vehicle maintenance, just so we get through the end of the year. But it's insurance money that I'm asking. Like I said, I didn't budget anything for insurance recovery, so it's not gonna affect the budget.
I'll make a motion.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Peterson and support by Commissioner LaHaye. Any discussion? The only thing I'll say, because I did see those originally and I reached out to you and you basically explained all this. So that's good because I know that normally when I'm looking at the invoices to approve, that those two invoices were pretty healthy. And, you know, my first thought was, where are we going to get this money from? So good to know that the money is going to be reimbursed back into your line item. So
So in total, $11,898.17 is what we've received.
okay, we have the motion and support, although our roll call.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Okay, next up, Commissioner Peterson.
Okay. We have a purchase offer on lot 6 at the Alpena County Airport, west of Airport Road. We talked about this at our last meeting, and I'm going to request, when we got the zoning guy out there, lo and behold, we're zoned commercial, but according to the FAA regulations, cannot allow a gas station on there without changing the zoning. So I recommend that we seek a text amendment to the zoning classification, adding the requested change to make it a gas station on that property. Yeah, I'll take the motion, man. Motion by Bill,
I'll support that.
support by Bert. Is any questions on that? It'll have to go to the Wilson Township Zoning Commission. Their first meeting is May 1st. So I'm trying to get this done. This was the shortest, quickest way to get it done. If we wanted to do all 6 lots, it would probably take us a couple, 3 months to get those lots rezoned. We're just going to rezone lot 6.
Okay, so with the motion and support, if there's no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay,
Okay.
motion passed.
And the second thing, we had our budget meeting for this meeting, and we looking at 25 budget and looking at the options. We had 3 options up before us. Option A was if a public safety millage proposal will be adopted and when it will be voted on. Option B was if a Headley Amendment roll-up proposal would be developed and when it is voted on. And 3, development cost savings for a plan for 2025 if an additional revenue is not approved. So after further discussion, we decided to move ahead with getting a Headley roll-up on the November ballot. of, I can't remember, Ted, what would you say the roll up would be?
0.7 mils.
0.7 mils. We're bringing us back to the where we should be after Headley was passed in 2011. 12,
I think it was 1976.
76, yeah, it's a long time ago. Phew.
Say 2012?
Yeah, 11, I thought. Man, I don't know, I've been here too long.
Yeah.
But so that was the recommendation from the budget committee. So I need a need a motion. Yeah, I need a motion.
So looking for a motion then to move forward with the, looking into or moving forward with getting the verbiage language for a Headley rollback, village.
Roll up.
Roll up. What did I say? Roll back.
Roll
I'm
back.
thinking of Walmart. Okay, so anyone want to support that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Commissioner Konashevsky, motion by Commissioner Konashevsky,
I'll support.
support by Commissioner Lalone. Why don't we do roll call on that?
Before we go,
Oh, discussion.
yeah, we're gonna do two different budgets starting in this summer. We're gonna do a budget with, we get the Headley amendment passed, and we'll do a secondary budget. If it doesn't pass, give us an idea what services will be cut or whatever will be done to get the budget in line for 2025.
And if I may add to
Yeah.
that, the purpose for that is the budget timeline is to ensure that the roll-up information gets out to the public prior to the election. And we want to get it early enough because obviously we have absentee ballot votes that can be cast. So we're looking on or about the 1st of September to get that out in a timely fashion. So our voters are well informed before they cast their vote.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Okay, next is Commissioner Lalone on the abbreviated version of.
Okay, so I'm gonna lightly speak to this, the Aplex pool and expansion. We do have a preliminary concept plan. The issue with, so at first when this was shared, they didn't have the cost of the project at all. They weren't willing to give us any idea of how much it was gonna cost. And I did relay, I was like, that's the first question that everybody's gonna want, and they kind of weren't sure. I did finally hear back from them. They have this project in 3 stages, 3 phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. The only amount they've given me is the amount for phase 1, which includes the pool, which is what everybody really wants, right? That's what everybody's been talking about. The only problem with this is when there was many brainstorming sessions, there was lots of input. They wrote down every single piece of input that everyone gave that attended these meetings and included it in the concept. So do understand that when I give you the price tag of what the preliminary is. I feel like it needs, this is just my feedback, I feel like it needs to be reworked. I can't imagine, I think the pool is the biggest thing that everybody wants. But there is a lot of extras in here, and I think they're all great ideas. I think maybe if we broke it into maybe 6 phases or something like that, then nothing truly would have to be cut. But I will tell you this, the price tag on the phase 1 is $80 million. Definitely like something to take with a grain of salt and something to keep in mind. It does include the pool. And it is a world-class pool, which includes a therapy pool, a splash zone, a 20-foot deep diving well, a movable bulkhead, 50-meter competition pool and dive, community locker rooms, competitor locker rooms. But to tell you everything that's in phase 1, you're talking about golf simulators with golf simulator sections, many more fitness areas, stretch areas, cardio areas, strength areas, another weight room, many other rooms. So I know the public really wanted an update where we were, and everybody's like, let's go with this. Okay, but it's $80 million. Maybe it could be, I think it would be in Alpena's best interest, if you're asking me personally, if we broke it into like 5 or 6 phases and maybe for the first one, really focus on the pool. And that's why we have a contract with them. What does Alpena want? Maybe we can look at doing some polls, just more specific, and sending it out to the community and saying, okay, what do you really, really need in that first step?
Well, I know that I've talked to both Tony and David Rabideau from the pool group, the pool group. And when I reached out to them and had a conversation, I did talk to them about finding, as we move forward, how do we whittle this down? And again, at that point, I didn't know the price tag, but I think that we will leave it to the pool group that we have and try to have them figure out a path forward. Because when you look at that, like you said, it might be easier to ask what they didn't include in that than to ask.
The only thing they didn't include from the group meetings that I went to, I actually do know this. The only thing that I didn't see on there was someone said, how about we put a garden in the middle of the circle parking lot that people can work on? I swear to God, everything else is in this. And I was like, oh my. I mean, it's a world,
So,
which is awesome.
so I guess I'm a little confused because I thought we were looking at, what's it going to be to build a pool? This is a whole new events
Yeah,
complex.
this is a sports complex
Yeah,
that
that-
we did, but it was
Somebody missed
literally
it.
from the feedback of the thing. So just to let you know, some of the other things, there's a new competition baseball field. There's softball, there's 4 softball fields, there's recreation sports fields, which that looks like soccer to me, so pardon me. Volleyball, more parking, reworking the parking for this area. If this gets finished, that would have to be done. And it is very beautiful, which they have, which I think would be really nice. But yes, there's basketball courts, volleyball courts. It is just kind of, if you can kind of glance at it, it is amazing.
Well, I think what we need to do is, again, like I said,
Yeah.
leave this to the pool group, because initially when we first talked about, it was the pool. And I think what happened was we had that
Kinda went.
meeting back in December or whatever it was, where everyone went to offer input. And as you said, I think it'd be easier to say, what didn't they get input into this plan? So I would, I'll have more conversations with the pool group and then push this back to them to, look at ways to, move forward with this. So,
Okay, thank you, Chair.
all right, thank you for the update. Next, we have the reports from the special ad hocs. And I know that I say this, what I'd like to do is, if you have something to say, we touch on the highlights, because in most of these special and ad hoc committees here, we have, if there was anything going on, we have the notes or the minutes. So we'll just go through that. And if you have any updates, just we'll start with Travis.
So for the facilities, there were a couple awards handed out from MDOT for the runway projects that were completed last year. It was quite a large project, and MDOT recognized the quality of work that was done along with the time frame. And we got into a category where we did receive some significant awards, which is a lot to be said for all the people that worked on it and the airlines that are working with all the contractors and everything. And then the next phase of that project for the completion of the runway starts approximately April 6th. The runway will remain open this year. It's just going to be the northmost, I think it's like 1,800 feet or 1,500 feet. That'll be starting approximately April 6th, depending on the weather. So I anticipate it being a little farther into April. And they have started the construction of the new hangar on the base side of things. So that's another significant project. Other than that, nothing overwhelming. We did talk a lot about the lease changes with Major Hilco. But he's not here today to get.
And that'll be next month.
Yeah, yep, next month we'll kind of go over that some more. But all good news really coming from the airport situation. So that's all that anything of a really major importance with the facilities.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lalonde?
So not a whole lot to report for Courts and Public Safety Committee. We are looking at some grant options for some upgrades that we wanted to do. We do have some training. I'd like to commend Kim Elke and Steve Musso for coordinating your departments. We're going to do some situational training for all the staff that works in the annex and the courthouse. Just in case you can never do too much. We were setting up some test runs, so we're going to be rolling out that. And actually, that's about it.
Okay. I'll just kind of touch real quick. There's not a personnel, the biggest thing, obviously, as we all know, is we're working to get the county administrator position filled, and Jennifer's stepped up a lot to help out, especially with questions that I have. So she's been doing a good job with that, but we have a timeline and we'll keep pressing forward until we get the new county administrator on board. Kurt, you're up.
Well, okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you.
So just an update from the Animal Control Ad Hoc Committee. There are 3 areas that I'd like to review with the board. First one is the city-county working and coordinating relationship meeting. We've met as a group, city leadership, the sheriff and I representing Animal Control Ad Hoc Committee on 26th January and 28th February. And on about 4 March, I put out an email to indicate, kind of summarizing what we had talked about. And basically that was the tentative agreement, still pending legal review. That hasn't been done yet. So as an in-progress review, in talking with the city, the leadership, some of the language that we approved at the last finance meeting was a coordination between the city and the county on what to do with animals, and how the city, who has their own animal ordinance, and the county, which has an animal control ordinance, how they can be mutually cooperative. So we talked about that. And I put out the summary on 4 March, and our next meeting is 2 April, where we're going to get together again and review that tentative agreement that we have to ensure that's kind of what we all agreed upon. And then we can come back for further discussion on the city and county mutual cooperation. The second item that is yet to be determined is animal shelter operations and management. There are 2 options that the ad hoc committee is looking at. One is to remain in a status quo, a county operated and county managed animal control shelter. So that's the first one, with county staff, county employees. The second option that we are considering and looking at is a contract operations. We contract with an agency or a nonprofit agency or an agency to take over management and operation of the Alpena County Animal Control. And if we decide to contract out similar to what we do with Northern Lights Arena and the pool, that would have to go out for bid and for contract. Now, the Friends of Alpena County Animal Control have submitted a bid proposal, and the committee agreed to receive and file that for further consideration. Again, because we're not at that point yet. This committee hasn't yet made a recommendation to a full board on which course of action we wish to follow. So no further action was taken. The third item for review is, again, the animal control shelter. I refer back to my military experience as command and control. Currently, the current shelter reports to the sheriff. The sheriff then, of course, provides supervision and oversight and reports back to this board on the operation of the shelter. Another option for consideration in command and control is, should the shelter management report to the county sheriff? Or is there a different command and control relationship that we should consider, i.e. the animal control shelter may be working directly for the county administrator, as a manager directly to the county administrator, or to another department head? Again, courses of action that we are thinking about and considering, but no decisions have yet been made, and we're not ready to bring those forward for any kind of a recommendation at the time. Also, at the animal control meeting minutes, we get a summary, a monthly summary from the animal control officer on number of animals that are brought in, genders, where they're brought in from. And again, just as a point of emphasis, the city makes up about 50% of the animals, particularly dogs, that are brought into the animal control shelter. Subject to questions, that's my briefing.
Thank you. Okay, next we have other boards and commissions. You know, again, I'd like to ask that you pick out the two highlights for each one, because we do have a lot of different committees, and these are the ones that we do not get minutes for. So if you do have something, if you don't have anything, then we don't need to discuss it. So we'll start with Commissioner LaHaye.
The planning commission is, everything is going well. They're gonna have another meeting this week, so, everything. I think I reported on that before. The rec plan is all completed and everything. And they did a pretty nice job on that. So they're doing good there. The Veterans Affairs Board, they didn't have a quorum, so the meeting didn't go on.
Okay.
But they're gonna change that. There's a lady on there that's out of the county now, so she's gonna have to come off the board. And they're gonna check with the other people that weren't there and see if they really want to be on it, or we'll appoint somebody else. So we'll find that out at the next meeting.
Okay. I do have one comment on planning commission. So I finally heard back from David Rabideau, and he said he was good with the person that if he could either sit in on the board, or he felt comfortable with us choosing that particular position. So he said because he did also say that he didn't know how much time he would be able to do for it. So if we would go with the individual that we originally talked about, to add her and see if she's still interested.
Okay,
Took me a while, but I got to it.
I'll reach out to her.
Okay, Commissioner, well, he's not here, so I know we have some, further down, we have some talk on the parks. I don't know, afraid to ask you if you have any questions.
As far as the park goes, we welcomed Fred Hubert. He was a new camp host for Sunken Lake. Where's my little Erin? Is she still here? There she is. Very nice man. We talked about some camp spot issues. We did talk about, because it's been brought up from residents and people traveling about the homeless issue, but still wanting to help the homeless. We're trying to come to some kind of mutual agreement with that. And then honestly, we've just really been focusing on grants pretty heavily. Little shout out to Lynn Bunting, that's been putting some extra hours and giving lots of support to our managers. And actually some of her free time. She showed up at a meeting just in case somebody needed her on her day off. So other than that, we're just working on getting some grants finished.
Hey, back to you for a quick update on Fair Board.
Fair Board, okay.
If you have.
We made some adjustments. The Fair Board is going to be given we changed our policy. They're gonna get 4 weeks ahead of the fair with empty buildings. We're gonna put some of our stuff that we store in there outside. That just opens them up. They want to have some like cleanup days and things like that with 4-H, but they needed some time to organize that, a little freedom over the summer. So we gave them more time in the contract. The bathroom, the person driving into the bathroom is finished except for just a little paint on the trim. So that's been rectified. No more issues with that. And a reminder to residents that are storing things, the deadline to have your stuff out of storage is April 15th through the 25th. After that, there is a $10 a day charge. Just a reminder, that is a normal policy. There's no change in that. That's just been around, but we just want to make sure there's lots of entities that use the fairgrounds, make sure that's out in time. Other than that, that's it for the fairgrounds. NEMSCA, unfortunately, I was unable to attend that meeting. Sorry, I got hung up at work. Thunder Bay Transportation, that meeting is in 2 days. So that I don't have an update for that as of right now.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Peterson.
Yeah, Moa landfill, the new injection well is working as advertised. We're pumping everything into the injection well. from the leachate ponds. Other than that, everything's going well out there. Target Alpena, attended my first meeting beginning of the month. There's some new and exciting stuff coming into Alpena, but I can't make the announcement right now till Mike Mahler brings that up at the next meeting. So again, there's some stuff coming forward.
Okay, thank you. I know Commissioner Fournier had mentioned to me before about the district health, and we do need to get that worked out and get everyone spun up with the whole event or whatever the issue with.
The rent/appropriation. Yeah.
So I know she wanted to talk about it, and so we'll just, I guess, maybe we'll just have that on the next facility. Actually, why don't we put it on the next facility, and then we can get that moved forward to full board or finance. Is facilities before or after?
After.
After. So we'll have the discussion, get it on the agenda for next facilities, and then brought back to full board next month. Commissioner Friends, oh, you just spoke about him. You're back.
Yeah, okay. NMRE, the Northeast Michigan Regional Entity. Last meeting was 4 March. Is just everything's on, nothing significant to report from the last meeting before that. The money is being executed. The oversight committees are doing in the projects that are executing as they had proposed. So nothing really significant there. On the opioid update, I need to get back with Madeline McConnell and Larry LaCrosse. I've had a medical issue that you're aware of that I need to follow back up with them. So more to follow at our next meeting. I have to follow back up with them to see where we're at with a couple of the RFPs.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Konashevsky.
Nothing really of any importance to any of my committees, actually.
Okay, good. And the only thing that I have is related to the recycling center and the contract that we have. We're still trying to get that reviewed by legal to move forward. So that's I guess the only thing that I have to address. So until we get it reviewed, it is what it is. So, okay, moving on. Unfinished business, no unfinished business. Correspondence, no correspondence. New business. So we have the MDNR Trust Fund grant application. So we have a public comment related to the MDNR Trust Fund grant applications. And I know, I don't see Chairman Kevin Osborne here. Is he online?
Sick, so he is not able to attend. Marcia and Earl are sick as well, but Marcia and Earl are on Zoom.
Okay. So I don't know if anyone has any public comment if we have a public comment period for the two grants for Beaver Lake and Second Lake. If anyone has any public comment, I'll step up to the podium. If not, we'll move on to, I guess Marcia can speak to the Beaver Lake one, and we'll ask Aaron to speak to the Sunken Lake one.
Marcia and Earl, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was keeping myself off mute. So the Parks Commission just discussed these two grants we are submitting, and we have a proposal for the Michigan Department of Natural Resource Trust Fund for a total grant of $199,200 with a total match of $106,800 for a total project cost of $306,000, excuse me. Of that, general funds and park contributions would be a total of $91,800, and Beaver Lake Committee did meet yesterday for our regular monthly meeting and decided to go ahead and submit a request to REC as well to see if they could help offset some of that contribution. This project would be for improving the roads throughout the park.
Marcia, can you talk, excuse me, Marcia, can you talk a little bit closer to your computer or your phone? We can hardly hear you. I'm sorry.
Is that better?
I can hear, she's
Okay,
basically.
she's right by you.
Back of my
Okay.
Okay, is
Can you
that
speak
better?
up?
Oh, that's better,
Yes.
Marcia. Yes.
Okay. Do you need me to repeat anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. So the project itself is to improve the roadways throughout the park, including through down to the day park, which is gravel roadway. We have a lot of washout in there. There's a lot of breaking and crumbling throughout the roads, potholes and whatnot, that are causing some safety and accessibility issues. And so we're just requesting the state to help us with getting those roadways repaved, as well as to designate certain parking areas for ADA parking, and then also to add some medium playground in the day park area.
I think that's, guys, good with what she said.
So we can.
I know,
I got it here, so.
I know there's like, I was chair, there was a lot of turnaround. These grants are really quick. When is the sign up? Or we have to have
Do
it,
you know when
The deadline's April 1st.
they have to be signed.
and I think, and I believe this is one that we're gonna have, we prioritized these two grants.
Right.
This was the one that we prioritized, and we said the
One.
Lake would be number one, Sunken Lake would be number two.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I think we're good, Marcia, unless anybody else has any questions. Next we have, Aaron. Hopefully we'll be able to have you speak into the mic.
You do not.
I am manager out at Sunken Lake.
Yeah, or, you know, so
So people can see you on Zoom.
I am the manager out at Sunken Lake with my husband Keith, and my name is Erin. We are proposing some main campground upgrades. If anyone's been out to Sunken Lake before, you know, we're in a sinkhole. So the guardrails on the left-hand side as you're going down into the main park are non-existent. It's some trees and you fall down a 30-foot hole. So we're asking to do that. 2 new aluminum docks, one for what we call the island, which is not technically an island, but we call it the island. And one more for the main campground for boats to be able to come in and out of the lake. Some enlargement and upgrades to our current parking area, which is not paved or gravelled or anything. It's just kind of cut out into the berm that is there. New signs and posts for each campsite with wayfinding signs to the trails that are coming in from the new Spark grant that we have received in the rustic and the day use area. Fixing some drainage issues coming down the hill with campers getting larger and more axles. It's every time it rains, there's a large washout on both sides. And I'm afraid of someone's camper is going to get messed up doing that. The electrical in the park to each box, I have as a new upgrade, I guess. They, from what I've been told, have been the same for many moons, many decades. We have some that are causing some problems, some campers that aren't able to actually plug into some of them. They short out. So we're trying to fix that. A fishing platform with a ramp from the shore to the platform. This is more of a safety thing because we have had kids go out on our actual dock and hook the flag or other fishermen with their boats being out on the dock. And then a lot of leveling, tree work, seed work. I am asking for a total of 250. Of that, 187.5 is from the grant. 62.5 is a match with Alpena County, 40 being actual funds from the county. I'm sorry, from
Parks.
I'm sorry, from Parks. And then I have also labor and materials from maintenance, myself and Keith also. That's what I'm asking for.
Okay. All right, any questions for Aaron? Okay, so now we will close public comment once again. And then we'll move into, so just so everyone's aware that we have two grants here and we may or may not get funded for both. And so the discussion was at Parks that we would prioritize. So we'll move forward and try to, we will approve. I shouldn't say that. We'll make a motion to approve or disapprove the grants with the recommendation that this recommendation came from the Parks Committee, that we would have the Beaver Lake Park grant be number one, and then the Sunken Lake Park grant be number two, just so we're aware.
Just a question, on each of the requests for action item 6 or 7, in 6, the $106,800, the match, they have that money in their budget to provide that match to the state?
Well, the money would be coming from the Parks Fund.
So the Parks Fund, the money is budgeted for it and they have that earmarked or available?
We didn't, but
No, it's not currently budgeted. It would, this is
grants,
grants that they would be processing in 25.
but the money would come from the Parks
Okay,
Fund,
all right.
not the general fund.
Not from the general fund. And same with the Sunken Lake of 62.5,
Correct.
the money and the in-kind. Okay, got it.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? Well, actually, we didn't. How about we get a motion to approve or a motion for the recommendation for the resolution for the MWR Trust Grant application for Beaver Lake Park.
I make a motion that you do that because Sunken Lake just got a big grant for a project there last year, so I think it was 400,000 or something, so Beaver Lake needs the money for what they have there, and we can get the grant, that would be the best way to go.
And that was one of the reasons that we prioritized them for number one and number two.
I'll support.
So we have a motion by Commissioner LaHaye, support by Commissioner Malone. Any further discussion on the action item number 6? If not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. So the next item is a recommendation to adopt a resolution 2406 for MDNR Trust Fund Grant application for Sunken Lake. Again, as I mentioned, this would be number 2 if they only approved one grant, and I believe last year they only gave us one grant. Was that what it was? So this, we're putting it out there, but it may not get approved. So
That motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Peterson.
I'll support.
Support by Commissioner Konashevsky. Any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. So the next item we have is related to the use of the Merchants Building.
Sorry, I'm just moving around.
Plus you're giving me motion over. The discussion to have use of the Merchants Building for, Aaron, do you want to come up here first? So I know there was an email there and I read my emails out of order. And I made a comment about concern that if we let you use this now, that we're going to open it up to other county personnel. But at the time, I didn't read the next email or 2 emails down that we have an issue with the Sunken Lake Park, the house. So currently, Aaron and Keith are not living in the house. They're living in a camper out at Sunken Lake. And so I don't know if you guys know how conducive camper is to an Easter dinner. Not much. So the ask is that we allow Aaron to use the Merchants Building for one time for Easter dinner. Because she does not have a place to eat dinner, unless you guys want to invite her over for Easter.
It's about 30 of us.
Oh, well, then change that. I don't know if anyone can work that into their Easter. So What are your thoughts, comments?
With that said, I'll make the motion.
I'll support.
Okay, so we have a motion in support to allow Aaron and Keith to use the Merchants Building for one time for the Easter holiday. Any other discussion?
Because the fact that the home that they should be in is not habitable until we get it fixed, correct?
And we should know something by the end of this week.
Okay,
Tomorrow is the inspection.
Yeah,
okay,
with the insurance company.
okay.
Any other discussion?
Thank you for being such a good sport.
You do what you do.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, you're good. Thank you, Aaron. Okay, and here we are at the final public comment. One note, please, if you have public comment, come up to the podium, state your name and address, and we have a 3-minute time limit. I don't want to be rude, but I see a lot of people here and I'll try to keep everyone, you might have to speed talk so we can get through everybody if everyone wants to talk.
Reed, 459 M65 North, 15. Kurt, thank you for the update on the ad hoc committee. That can reduce the temperature in this room by about 20 degrees.
Well, I had to come out of that back door that I was being accused of hiding behind to do all that stuff, so I thought it was important to clarify.
It was very important to clarify. On March 7th, the Animal Control Ad hoc Committee meeting, Kurt stated the new county and city policy that the gist of the policy was, if a person or an officer picks up an animal running at large, if it's sick or dangerous, take it to the animal control shelter. If it's friendly, immediately take it to an animal protection shelter such as HHS or Second Chance. At the time, I laughed at the policy because it's fundamentally flawed. But I figured we would have time to talk about it before it was approved. What had a lot of people confused was on March 12th, there was an approval in the finance meeting. And everyone thought the policy had been passed. That's why everybody said, because we didn't have a chance to talk about the policy. Just to start off, you don't have the authority to pass that policy. Because if you read the verbiage as it's written in that policy, you are mandating that a private organization perform a county function. You can't do that. You can have a contract with a private organization, but you can't have a policy that says, hey, HHS, you will take in these animals. Second Chance, you will take in these animals. Walmart, you will take in these animals. You can't do it. You have to have a contract. In the contract, you have to specifically define the fact that that animal protection shelter is acting as an animal control shelter. Well, the reason you have to is because Michigan state legislation says that animals running at large must be impounded at an animal control shelter. MDARD policy, and MDARD, of course, most of you guys already know who MDARD is. They are in charge of enforcing all the animal control in the state of Michigan. They specifically have a policy, and their policy says animals running at large are to be kept at an animal control shelter as defined in 287.331. That's the Michigan state legislation that I was just referring to that says animals running at large must be kept in a shelter run by a municipality as an animal control shelter. You don't have the chance, you can't change that. MDARD, in addition, in that same policy specifically says animals running at large are not to be kept at an animal protection shelter. They spell it out. It's right there in the policies from MDARD. You can't keep animals running at large at an animal protection shelter. The only way you can do it is an animal control shelter. You can contract them to be an animal control shelter, but if they are an animal protection shelter, the state of Michigan and MDARD says they can't take animals running at large. Like I said, I had quite a few things to say when we thought that the policy had already been passed. Did you?
3 minutes.
It's up.
Thank you. No, I don't have the time.
I can do it. I just didn't set it the last time.
Again, I'm not, I just want to make sure because we got a lot of people doing,
Can you have
30 people at 3 minutes.
I'm almost done. Go ahead, Nancy.
Nancy McSwain, 434 Tuttle, Alpena. I yield my 3 minutes to Bob.
I had quite a bit more to go over, but what I wanted to point out, like I said, I took out a great deal after you made your report, because now we know that the policy has not been approved, is not in effect. But policy as written overreaches your authority. It disregards Michigan state law. It disregards MGuard policies, and it disregards the common practices throughout the state of Michigan, except here in Alpena County. But we feel like we've been fighting with you guys for the last 2 years. We know that Mary Catherine had a contract that was behind closed doors, hiding from the public. It just seems like we're constantly battling to get this done, and we want to work together to make this work out for the county of Michigan, for the county of Alpena. But to do that, we need to see a little more good faith and transparency from you guys. We don't want to see you guys go and hide behind closed doors and have a meeting and come out with a new policy, and we're like, oh, wait a minute. Nobody talked to the animal control officer. Nobody talked to any of the people in Alpena County that are involved in this and have a vested interest in what's going on. We need more transparency. We need a good faith effort by you guys. Thank you.
Becky Tomaszewski, 115 West Maple Street. I'm here today as a taxpaying citizen of Alpena County. I'm speaking here today because I want it stated on the record that I do not want Alpena County to enter into an agreement or a contract, a Second Chance or Huron Humane Society to take healthy and adoptable animals, leaving only the scarred and unadoptable animals at animal control. I want animal control services to remain as they are, and I want the county to continue to grow our current program. First, a shelter that only prioritizes healthy and adoptable animals is clearly not fulfilling their mission as a protection shelter. Michigan law defines an animal protection shelter as a facility operated by a person, Humane Society, Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or any other nonprofit organization for the care of homeless animals. As of today, there have been many complaints against Huron Humane Society for not taking owner surrenders because they are full. As a protection shelter, it is their duty to prevent cruelty to animals and care for homeless animals. If they couldn't do that before, what makes you think they're able to care for stray animals now when they are always full? They are already contracted with the city of Alpena to provide services that they can't fulfill. We know this because currently owner surrenders come to Alpena County Animal Control because the Humane Society is always full. Secondly, all stray dogs should go to animal control. One, because a stray dog is actually a criminal complaint. It's against the law for a dog to run at large. It is against county ordinance and also state law. It's important for stray dogs to go to animal control. The number of stray dogs that are brought in that show signs of neglect or abuse are rising. This allows a certified law enforcement official, who was also a licensed vet tech for over 22 years, to assess the animal and either initiate a complaint or help get the animal surrendered or the care it needs. Stray dogs should be cycled through a controlled shelter because that is where enforcement starts. As a dog owner in Alpena County, I am terrified of walking my dogs because the stray dog problem is so bad. And that is currently with people like Deputy Reed enforcing dogs running at large. If stray dogs go to the Humane Society, then enforcement is only going to diminish. And the problem with dogs running at large is only going to get worse. It is important to assess past performance to determine if the Humane Society is capable of taking on even more responsibilities. Their past performance proves that they are not capable because they can't even manage to maintain the bare minimum role of a protection shelter. They can't handle owner surrenders. How are they going to contract with the county and now take owner surrenders and stray dogs? They will probably turn people away, like they have been for years, and people will keep dumping their dogs, which has happened in the last year especially. Please, as a taxpaying citizen, do not do this. Invest in the program that is already working. Put your personal agendas aside and remember what your taxpaying citizens, the people that you represent, want. Today, I ask you, keep all services with Alpena County Animal Control and continue to build a program that has proven their impact and success over and over. Thank you.
Married, 11011 Emerald Street, Estate. Picture yourself arriving at work each day, only to find out that your job responsibilities have changed overnight without any input or awareness on your part. Imagine decisions being made by individuals who lack knowledge of the laws, mandates, and policies relevant to your role, without seeking expertise. Picture a scenario where you believe that people are being open and transparent and are genuinely seeking to communicate while showing respect for your job position, and then realize that your belief in their transparency and genuine communication was mistaken, and it seems to have been only a smokescreen. Picture yourself as being a member of a subcommittee called Animal Control Ad Hoc Committee and discovering during a scheduled meeting that other meetings took place with only select committee members, resulting in possible changes to procedures directly impacting your job. A meeting which your supervisor was involved in, and your supervisor avoids discussing it with you despite its significant impact on your role. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. A backdoor meeting that your supervisor was involved in and lacks the courage to tell you that a meeting has taken place that has a potential to change the policy and lacks the courage to talk to you after the meeting despite the impact of your job. How many more of these meetings have taken place that we haven't been informed of yet? Or non-meetings, and I quote, "There was no meeting," as some members only gather so it doesn't meet the standards of a quorum to be called a meeting. Does that sound familiar? Maybe about the same time last year? Just curious, anybody here? The above situation will lead to uninformed or misguided decisions. When decisions are made without considering relevant expertise or knowledge, it will lack necessary insight or understanding of potential consequences. As a result, your actions taken based on these decisions will be ill-informed or misguided and lead to unintentional outcomes or inefficiencies. Now, picture the toll of a mental health. Every day, 24 hours a day. The constant worry about lies, lack of communication, and feeling of being used weighs heavily on your mind. We all know that our brains do not switch off when we leave work. Maybe you don't love going to your job anymore, but you do love doing what your job allows you to do. Advocating, helping, rescuing, and saving those that don't have a voice with no discrimination. Cats, dogs, exotic animals, fish, guinea pigs, horses, cows, and all animals that God created. And that's what keeps you going. This is a picture of what our county's ACO has gone through for the past 3 years. You haven't succeeded in breaking her yet, as Michelle continues to do the workload of 2 or more ACOs. She might not have the support from this board, but look at the support that came here today just for her. She has her family, she has her friends, and she has her people. Yes.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Michael Kramer. I live in Alpena at 226 Fair Avenue. And I am here to just offer general suggestions about the future. I'm a military oath taker, and I believe in the Constitution. In the last 10 years, I've spent a lot of time studying it so I can figure out how to get the country back on track. And I think everybody in this room would agree that it's pretty crazy right now. My concerns at this point is I'd like to address the fact of legal and illegal immigration. I'm a descendant of legal immigrants, Irish. We were not called human at the time, but they found out we were eventually. But right now we're going through a series of events in the southern border where they're flying people into this country that have no valid reason to be here and are not being checked out. There's a lot of cases around the country where these people are being set up in cities and in towns. For what reason, I still don't understand. I want to make sure that that doesn't happen to this wonderful part of Michigan. So I'd like to open that discussion up with you folks. This is only my second council meeting, but county meeting, but this is going to be a regular occurrence because you guys are the basis of my government. And you're the basis of what I think will be involved in taking this government back onto the right path. So that's going to be something I'm going to watch for. I don't want illegal immigrants being shipped into this area and put up at our expense or anybody's expense. I think that along those lines, the sheriff is our first line of defense. I want to make sure, and all the people that I represent, a lot of people that don't have time to come to the meetings, but are very concerned about this. The sheriff is our first line of defense. He's the law enforcement officer we elected, and he's the person that's going to protect this area first and foremost. So we want to support him all the way. And trust, that's why I go to these meetings. Trust is everything. You can't have a government in this country without trust. Big problem with the federal government now. There's no trust. And so consequently, we go to the library board's a great example. I read books like crazy. I study all the time because I'm retired. I'm 76 years old. What am I going to do if I don't study? And we're involved in the board, the meetings at the library because they're bringing pornographic material into the teen section. And we want to have some say about that because we provide 95% of the library's budget. Well, we found out over these meetings that they had a set of rules that they were going to adopt from the state that would not give us any control over the library's book placements or purchases. I find that to be totally abhorrent. And so we're working to get that reversed and changed. But the trust in government is the big thing that we're going to be involved in these meetings for. So I just wanted to let you know.
Good evening. I am Beth Pelkey. I live at 7011 Long Rapids Road. I'm going to change my tune on this a little bit. I was almost going to chastise you as a county board of commissioners, just to challenge you. I still want to do the challenge, but forgive me, I'm not going to be chastising you. I'm going to be complimenting you. I've gone to many county board meetings over the years. My husband's been involved over 30 years, and I'm learning more probably in the last 2 years than I've ever known. And I don't know what the wording was of the oath that you took when you came into office, but I know it's something that's very important and very dear. Most of you were elected to this position. There's a couple of you that were appointed. You know, some have been on for just a little bit of time, some have been on for many years. So I did some research, and this is what I found as far as what the duties are for a board of commissioners. And tonight is probably one of the few times that I've actually seen it in action. So I appreciate that very much, what you've done. Commissioners are the trustees of the people they serve. They should strive to perform the basic duties of trustees. First, they have the duty of care. Each commissioner should participate actively in making decisions on behalf of the county and to exercise his or her best judgment while doing so. The second one is loyalty. Each commissioner should put the interests of the county before their professional or personal interests when acting on behalf of the county in a decision-making capability. Thirdly is obedience. Each commissioner must ensure that the county complies with the applicable federal, state, and local laws adhering to its mission. And being an effective leader is not something that simply happens the moment you're elected to office. You have to learn and hone leadership skills. As a county commissioner, you'll need to listen to the residents of the county, develop goals, and work effectively with the board in whole to achieve these goals. There are a lot of people counting on you in your role as county commissioner. County policies will impact citizens, and for that reason, those citizens expect county commissioners to influence the direction of county government. Policymaking is far more an art than it is a science. The key to good policymaking is to see the forest for the trees. Keep in mind the mission of the organization and whether the county is following that direction to realize long-range outcomes. Policymaking describes the outcomes. It describes what you want. It is essential to recognize competing interests among the public and staff and to cultivate support from these groups by involving them as stakeholders in your policy development.
Ma'am, I'll give you 2 of my 3 minutes to finish.
Just 2 more sentences. Above all, transparency needs to be a top focal point of how you do your job. And I encourage you to reflect back on your oath of office when you took it. And make sure that you are doing that. what I saw tonight, you're on that track. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Deanne Karas, 22600 Mile Road. Yes, I live in Hillman, but I work for the ACO. I go to ad hoc meetings since I started working at the shelter. And when I went to the March meeting, I was like totally slapped in the face that you guys want to take what we are doing with the broken and only give us the broken, not be able to give us any animals to where we have joy. You want to give us the sick, the ones that we have to euthanize. You don't understand how much heart and soul we put into these animals. I go there days that it is, I don't work. I just go because I can see how good I am doing with them. And I get so many people's throwaways. I get people come up to my door. I'm walking from my second job and they say, hey, we went to HHS. They won't take our animals. We're leaving. Sorry, they're yours. Figure it out. Those animals are totally scared and they're left on us. And we are the ones, our staff are the ones that are making sure that those animals go back into the community and not thrown on the street from somebody else's. And that's what people need to see. We are doing a good job. We don't want the crap that you guys don't want to deal with because you want to euthanize. You know how many people, how much heart and soul you lose every time you gotta put an animal down? And they're not even ours, but we're there with them. Those animals, after we go day in and day out, 7 days a week, we're the ones. They're our animals. They're not anybody else's. So it shouldn't be up to anybody else to say, hey, I invite you guys, all you guys, come spend 2 weeks with us in that shelter and see if you guys, let's change your mind, because it's gonna be totally different than what you think it is. Those animals will become part of you. So I'm not taking my 3 minutes, but I invite you guys to come step up and see what we actually do in that little building and then tell us that somebody else can do it better. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom?
There is, yeah.
One person here.
There's not a person.
My name's Christy Bartlett, 13223 Taylor Hawks Road, Lachine, Michigan. I'm a citizen of Alpena County. I have never attended one of these board meetings. It was important enough for me, everybody to step outside, caring for a dog that was actually at animal control once, that now we have placed in our home, even though we don't own it, and I pay for all the costs for this animal. Animal control through the Alpena County Sheriff's Office has done a terrific job. I'm gonna be blunt, if it isn't broken, don't try to fix it. Okay, I've lived here my whole life. I'm 41 years old. I lived in the county of Alpena and I owned a home until 2022 in here in the city limits. There's been a constant problem with strays. I quit trying to walk a dog within the city limit because of the amount of strays. I didn't even go half a block down my street with my kids, my dog, and there's a stray dog running at large. I've dealt with this. I've called Huron Humane Society in the past. We used to have contracted individuals for animal control. I thought it was poorly taken care of. I now live outside the city limits. I have livestock. I can't even tell you how many times I've called Central Dispatch, animal control about animals running at large as far as dogs usually. And I have baby lambs or goats and I have to worry about those getting injured. Michelle in the sheriff's office had always responded well. I have family, friends, neighbors that wish they could have been here today, but they're sick. They didn't want to spread germs, so they didn't come in today to support animal control that we have now. I also brought my daughter in here today and wanted her to see how this board meeting works. She is homeschooled and she does similar in Girl Scouts. They have spent countless hours at animal control painting the facility, even though it's small. They've donated there. I donated straw this last winter for their whole year to help support them. And I think our community and the citizens of this county have spoken by all that volunteering and donation to make this work. What was in place before this was not well. This is the best we've ever had it, is what we have in place right now with Michelle running animal control. There are other counties that neighbor us that don't have animal control. They might not even have any options. If there's a abuse case or neglect, they have nobody to report it to and nobody to respond to it properly. We have that right now in Alpena County, and I would like to keep that. There's been multiple cases of hoarding, animal hoarding, abuse. These animals have been euthanized and put down. I have rescued countless animals that have been in that situation. There was a few years when I lived.
Christie, I'll give you a minute of my time to finish.
When I lived in the city of Alpena, where I was taking in personal, basically surrender animals that a young couple with a new baby couldn't afford to keep their dog up to date on shots. So I would take this animal in and pay out of my pocket and take it to the vet. I worked for Sunrise Vet Services and paid out of pocket. My kids got to help train these dogs. I was involved in dog 4-H through my whole childhood, training, obedience, that sort of thing in the community. I'm a co-leader to Girl Scouts now with a local troop in Alpena. And like I said, we've continually supported the police, the fire, animal control. We visit there at least once a year. And this is something our community wants. The private contractor is gonna fail. I don't care who you have, you're gonna have to look into that contractor and make sure they are properly trained and have the proper training to recognize whether that dog is dangerous or whatever the situation may be. I think we have something in place right now that we need to keep. And I wish the other people that I know could have came in and spoke tonight. Thank you.
You said there was someone on Zoom?
Yep, no,
Yes. Can you hear me?
yes, someone else had their hand up, but it's up to you if you wanted to go.
Whoever's speaking, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Luann Bennett, 2144 South First Avenue in Alpena. And I was not really prepared for this tonight because I just had heard about it and was very surprised and very saddened and disturbed to find out again about the closed door meetings about animal control, a system that works very well for our community. And she does an amazing job for the broken. I just don't understand why you would even consider going out to someone else, as well as the Huron Humane Society, who I as well have talked with about animals before that are in need of help, and they turn me away without any options, zero options, zero input, just no. And I agree with everyone that has had discussion tonight about this. And I really, really hope that you consider what's in the best interest of the animals. And I would also like to say about the prayer that was said at the beginning of the meeting: strengthen our flesh to do what is right, just, and fair for the animals in our community. And we have someone that is doing that, is state recognized. Please consider keeping it and funding it, helping, thank you for hearing me.
Anybody else on?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Ordway. I live at 304 East Crapo Street in Alpena. And I just want to support our animal control officer. They aren't just a dog catcher. They have hundreds of hours of training. They also deal with abuse, neglect investigations, animal bite investigations. They do patrol. I've seen Michelle numerous times. on patrol while I was walking my dog. She enforces our leash laws in the city. She picks up warrants. She answers complaints. These are all things that are desperately needed in this town. She has specialized training. She understands the physical and emotional health effects of fear, anxiety, frustration in dogs that she comes across. I don't think you can determine if a dog is vicious or a nice dog by a first encounter, just because the fear in the animal might cause them to appear vicious when they're not. Not only that, but the animal control officer has to have knowledge of the pathogenic concerns of animals and their health. They have to be familiar with diseases, toxicosis, rabies, zoonotic illnesses that can be transferred to people. They play a key role regarding the prevention and mitigation of rabies in our community. In addition to specialized training areas, they also have extra hours they do to learn about chemical captures. They're first responders in dangerous situations, and they maintain public safety. I was actually attacked by a Doberman probably 10 years ago with two of my children. And the person that came to that scene was an animal control officer. So they were able to prosecute the owner for harboring a dangerous dog. And that dog also attacked the neighbor that was next door and mauled them in the driveway. So I don't think Huron Humane Society would be able to handle a situation like that. And I just have you put yourself in that position and think about that before you go with another agency. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Kayla Miller. I live at 3084 Long Rapids Road of Alpena. I'm here today to bring some concerns. I am gonna skim through a little bit of some of the stuff because I thought you went ahead and passed some things without reaching out to the public as well. I thought things may be getting better with Mary Hannah gone, but hearing that I'm sorry, I froze, but also I got a pop-up for a video cam. I'm not gonna video today right now. Is that necessary?
No.
I'm sorry, what was that?
No.
Okay, so I'm here today because I had some concerns. I started looking into MDART, their policies, Michigan state law, and I found some things as on MDART, I started looking into its policies and then animal shelters, and I went through their stats and I looked up the humane societies on there along with our animal control, and I noticed that our now mayor took in strays in 2022. They do not have stats up yet for 2023. When the prior sheriff had to get involved for them to stop, I seen on your recent meeting minutes who attended Cindy Johnson, HHS president, but you left out the mayor. I really think this is a huge conflict of interest, and I would love to see more transparency for our community. I worry about someone who's untrained to decide if, a stray is dangerous or not. Strays can be the sweetest, but they can also be terrified in that moment. I have a 120-pound Great Pyrenees. She's sweet as can be, but her bark sounds vicious because she is a big girl. I would hate to think what someone would throw her ass. I really love what our animal control is doing with what's given. I would love to see more support, not only from the commissioners, but also our sheriff, because she is our deputy. She won Animal Control Officer of the Year in 2023, which is huge. And she's a licensed vet tech and a certified deputy for our community. She advocates for those who don't have a voice. She understands animals and is trained very well. We are lucky to have her in our community. Her staff and volunteers have been amazing. I would just love to see, I guess, more to come from you guys. I'm not as prepared because I came here today thinking you passed something without the citizens knowing.
Okay, thank you. Your time's up.
Thanks.
Anybody else? No? Okay, any final comments from the board, or if not, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So I have some comments, actually.
Okay.
So I am closing in on the end of my first term here, and everybody sitting up here was hired to do a job. And we all have a job to do, and Michelle also has a job to do. And there are a lot of roles that come with this animal facility. And sometimes I think that it's unfair that we ask as much as we do of Michelle. It's no secret that she is doing a great job. And I am certainly not here, and I feel like I'm speaking for all of us, in no way to break Michelle. It's obvious that she is doing a good job. I have been to the shelter only a couple of times, and it is quite overwhelming just for myself to walk in. There were, I don't even know how many animals in there the day I was there, more than probably should have been. And my concern is, the building that we have is far less than ideal. And that I think is our number one concern. We do want to take care of these animals. We don't want to just leave the problem animals with Michelle. We want to make her job a little easier to deal with the problem animals. We do have two facilities that I and others have toured in our community that are already in place, and with some fine tuning, I think could make this whole situation better. If we, as a group, decide to vote on a contract comes with obligations. And if it'll be laid out what is expected of these places before we vote on them. It's not going to be willy-nilly, let's get this done. I really feel like all of our objectives are with the best interest of these animals. I from my heart, I feel that way. We are, I feel like we are quite transparent. I looked at this the other day and it is laid out black and white. I'm glad that Bert took the time to, reiterate it a little bit and just make sure everybody did understand exactly what took place at the ad hoc committee. We don't want backdoor meetings. I certainly am here because of transparency, and I do feel that is extremely important. And I do really feel that we are striving for what is best for the animals. We know Michelle's doing a great job. I mean, that's no secret. I had a lot of notes here as well, but
Your 3 minutes are up.
yeah, right. Yep. I feel like we are all trying to do the right thing. And, all of our phone numbers are on the website. You can feel free to call me anytime with any questions or concerns. And the one last thing that I do want to mention is, Mr. Kramer, your concern is shared with myself and probably a lot of other people in the room. We are certainly hoping that we don't have to deal with the issues that come with busloads of illegal people, but in the event that, that happens, we'll certainly deal with it head on, the best that we can. we are facing a pretty significant deficit in our budget. And we need taxpayers, not tax leeches to show up here. So, and you know, the budget is an obviously huge issue. If we did not have a budget deficit and we had a huge surplus, we probably would already have a Taj Mahal animal shelter and half of the people that are here wouldn't be. But the reality is we do have a budget issue. We do want to take care of our residents and our animals, but that all takes money. So we are trying to do the best that we can with what we have for, you know, money to do these things and facilities to do these things. We're hoping to utilize everything the best that we can to make it the best situation. And that's all I have. Probably went over my time.
You did, because you gave away a couple of your minutes. I'm just gonna say one thing. I've been on this board for and Commissioner Fournier and myself have been part of the animal control. And I go back to when I first got on the board, I dealt with Humane Society, I dealt with Cindy. And I said from the very beginning, it would be an amazing facility if we had all three shelters work together. And this is the thing that frustrates me is when we have the different, and I'm not going to say that there isn't personality conflicts, maybe that between some of them, but I feel since I've been on this board, I have been transparent and I've never tried to do anything. One of the things that I know, I see you smirking the back there, but one of the things that you have to realize, and again, I don't think half of you may not realize this is one minute piece of what we deal with for a county commissioner. You know, you can talk to any one of these commissioners and I know because I've appointed them all to the boards, they're involved in a ton of stuff. And what I do is so time consuming with a full-time job and doing this, that, you know, there's a lot of stuff and I appreciate everything that everyone up here has done. But I can honestly say that we have never done any type of backdoor deals. And, you know, whether, you know, you see stuff on Facebook, I don't know who's putting it on Facebook, but I can attest to Bert, you know, all those discussions have been, you know, we're trying to work with the facilities that we have. Again, we're trying to figure out what's best, how to best move forward for the animal control. And that's all I have to say. With that, if anybody else has anything, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner LaHaye,
I'll support.
and support by Commissioner Malone. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.